Right now, I have to stop saying.
It's been almost 2.5 weeks since the Dallas Stars lost a hockey game. So I guess we shouldn't be too disappointed, but we're going to have to talk about it nonetheless. Luds is back, although he's remote. Sam will join us a little bit later. We believe he was there for the pregame show. John is here. I'm here. Let's get it started. Stars postgame show here on DLLS.
Get ready, boys.
This is the DLLS Stars postgame show on the losing end of things for the first time in what feels like forever. Dallas hasn't lost a home game in regulation since January 21st. It is April 5th. That's how good they've been, especially at American Airlines Center. Alongside, or at least adjacent to, our good friend and now remote man, Craig Ludwig. I'm Owen Newkirk. John Andersen is our producer. Sam Nestler will be joining us a little bit later. And Luds, it seems like it's weird to lament too much about one loss when the team has won 7 in a row, points in 10 straight, one of the best teams in the league as far as record goes. But there does seem to be this narrative after the Stars lose to the Penguins this afternoon of somehow poor performances or not playing to their full potential finally catching up to them. Is that a fair assessment, or is this just a one-off and let's move on?
No, I would say that it is thinking that maybe you should have put your foot down a little harder over the last 3, 4, 5 games and made it a little bit bigger talking point about the way you've been playing, because we've seen this, we've seen it. And this is probably, and I'm not putting this on Ceci DeSmith, but there were a couple goals. Maybe it wasn't Ceci-like, but there were other things that were great by Ceci, right? So that the last thing that I would do, there was so much standing around and watching today from both sides. You expect it from Pittsburgh. They're done. They're going to go through the motions, so to speak. They put in a couple of young guys into the lineup to make sure they don't go through the motions, and sometimes that brings the energy. There's a guy that wears number 87. He ain't ever going through the motions, right? That ain't happening. And I think there was probably a little bit of motivation for him today, personally, because I think that what occurred last night, and they've had that battle, for 20 years or whatever it is. And I think when Ovi took the stage, Sidney Crosby was going to say, hey, don't forget about me.
Well, it's funny. We're going to break this whole game down. We'll talk about it in the next couple of segments. We'll take your super chats, load us up. We can't wait to get that. But as we discuss that, Luds, that's kind of a point maybe I want to start with first is this Ovechkin versus Crosby, because they've been that way for nearly their entire careers. Ovechkin ties Wayne Gretzky's goals record last night. I thought he was going to score the empty netter to get the hat trick just to put a bow on the whole thing in front of the home fans. Now we've got the hottest ticket in the NHL in Long Island, or on Long Island tomorrow, as the Capitals play the Islanders. But in the end, Ovechkin gets all this praise for chasing Gretzky's goals record. Isn't Sidney Crosby the more complete generational talent than Ovechkin?
Oh, for sure. And I think at some point, someday, Ovi would admit that. I think it's fair to say, though, when you want to speak about Ovi, is like when he was younger, he was a wrecking ball, right? I mean, he hammered guys all over the ice.
Yeah.
But as his career went along, he obviously became what he is. But Crosby I almost think he takes more pride in playing the right way through the middle of the ice and coming back hard into his own end, and everything else at the other. Anybody that can go 20 plus years and be a point per game player over 20 years straight, it just tells you that you're concerned about the 200 feet of the rink every night.
Crosby would be all over the points tonight. And let's go through this, because Dallas had the power play 20 seconds into the game when Chris Letang was called for a penalty. And Wyatt had a good chance right away as he drove to the crease, and Jari made a good save. But Luds, after that, I've said this a bunch of times, and I go back to a guy I have a ton of respect for, and that's Willie Desjardins, a former NHL head coach with Vancouver. He was the Texas Stars head coach when they won the Calder Cup. I was there then and got to know Willie extremely well. He was an associate coach with Dallas before that with Glenn Gulletson and Mark Crawford. And so you go to this situation, and Willie used to always say he didn't like when his teams would get a power play really early in a game, especially if they didn't score on it, because he felt like that kind of encouraged his players to come out soft. And he said, if anything, it's better to have to kill a penalty early because your grinders have to get into the intensity and the battle of a game. And it felt like the Stars weren't ready to battle at the beginning of this game after that power play.
Who started the game tonight for the Dallas Stars?
It was the fourth line.
Exactly.
Again.
So to your point, that's kind of what Pete was trying to do at the start of the game. Maybe because he was a little bit concerned, and he wanted the right guys to spend some time down there. But yeah, there is one thing about the power play that I did like tonight, though. They used a little bit of a different wrinkle on the entry. They use a double drop, and it ultimately led. Who was it? Wyatt had a scoring chance right off the bat.
Right off the bat. Yep.
I thought that was a great twist to what they've been doing as far as entries. But even that, when you see the second, there was a lot of chasing back again, and there were pucks that didn't have the sustained time. So you could kind of feel it now. Now looking back, you could see kind of what was happening. I mean, it was a pattern that was developing, not just from their power play, but their penalty kill. It was loose, and it resulted in the Crosby goal, in my opinion. And so I just thought they were loose, and they seemed to be like a team that thought that the Penguins, with only 6 or 7 games to go, were just going to roll over and be done at some point.
Well, the power play didn't yield much. I had one for Johnson that was really good as he drove to the net, and then Granlund had a redirection. And then after that, Marchment took a really dumb penalty. He got kind of slammed by Letang up against the boards, and I think out of anger or frustration, Luds, he lashes out while he's still lying on the ice and just swings his stick at his feet right in front of the referee. It's an obvious call, and it's a terrible lack of judgment by Marchment to take that minor at that time. There's no reason for that. Like, it doesn't help the team. It only hurts them.
Did you think that when Marchment was kind of John with Letang that he was calling him a diver? I couldn't tell if that's what he was accusing him of.
Here's the funny thing. I'm watching the video feed. I think it was on the scoreboard of them close up after the call on Marchment. And Marchment turned in, as you said, he started jawing at Letang. And I'm not a professional at this, but I could have sworn that after Marchment's barking at him, Letang says back to him, "You've got to be joking." That's sort of the lip reading I saw, as if to say, "You're kidding me. You're accusing me of that?" Like, it was a blatant trip. He swung his stick. He hit him right in the foot. He goes down. It's obvious. Now, maybe Marchment was upset about the whole wrestling move that happened along the boards, but I don't know what he's whining about there unless he's just trying to stir something up.
This is kind of what I meant earlier when I said now that looking back, you could see things unfolding, because Marchment didn't have a great game tonight either. I mean, he's a result of a couple different plays of quitting, and there was one goal that we can talk about later if we do. I mean, he literally dropped his stick on the way to the bench on, I don't even know if it was the Rust goal or which one it was, but he drops his stick on the way to the bench. And instead of going off the ice, he stops and goes back and gets his stick. And then Duchesne is coming from the far side of the ice, and he stops his feet going to the bench. And then it ultimately ends up in a goal against, and guys are chasing back. But yeah, I just felt like the team was off. And I don't want to beat it up too much, but now it's easy to say, well, we've seen signs of this coming down the road a little bit.
So, Luds, you did exactly as our producer instructed, and you centered your frame, and then John put the score bug right on your head. So he's afraid. He actually put in the chat, he is scared to tell you that you have to adjust your camera just a little bit so it doesn't cut off the top of your head. I know.
Does this look better if I do it like
Luds,
that?
I know you're going to be really mad at me.
That's probably right where you want it, though. I'm sure that's what the people watching would prefer.
We could just block the whole thing. You could stand out of frame and show us your hotel. There it is. Oh, that's perfect. Look at that. Beautiful.
Well, it's sitting on top of 2 pillows and a washcloth. So I don't know how long it's going to last.
So let's talk about the power play goal for Sidney Crosby. Malkin sets him up. It's not even intended for him, but he buries one in the slot. Just kind of floats in as the pass goes right through Rutger McGroarty's feet. And I mean, sometimes you're just good and lucky.
Yeah, but I didn't like the penalty kill at all on that. I mean, if you pause it before Crosby, oh, there you go, John. Good job. I mean, everybody is looking ultimately down to the other end of the rink, and they don't see. Look at all the heads here. If you're able to watch this, look at all the heads. And you know who's on the ice on this power play? Number 87. Like, that's like having number 8 out there. He's one of the most dangerous players in the league, one of the best players in the last 20 years, and nobody knows where he is. And at the last second, you can see where Rupe Hintz here is starting to reach for the puck. The reason he did is when the puck is in the corner over here, Rupe starts to slide out of the middle of the ice like he's trying to cover someone that may be sneaking in the back door, when, again, the most dangerous player, whether it's Sidney Crosby or Owen Newkirk, you take away the middle of the ice. You don't give that
definitely
area
more
up.
Crosby than me.
I just thought the penguin thing, I just figured I'd throw that in there.
You're too kind.
But again, to me, it's loose. It's loose coverage. Your head, nobody had their head on a swivel to find the most dangerous guy on the ice at that moment. And so it kind of just makes a statement of the whole game for me.
So this makes it 1-0 early on, just 4:16. It extends Sidney Crosby's current point streak to 12 games. As if you needed anything else to be reminded of how good of a player he is. It's his 28th goal of the season. He's going to get to 30. We'll talk about that later. But, Luds, your absolute favorite defenseman active in the NHL puts on a clinic of what not to do when defending a rush chance as Evgenii Dadonov, who had his own huge day, scores for the first time in 18 games. He had a 17-game goal drought, hadn't scored in over a month and a half. And I would love for you to tell us just how great Erik Karlsson is on this play.
John, that last shot that you had up, not this one, the one before. Yeah. So if you would see that about 2 seconds earlier than this, he was trying to stand up on the blue line to Dadonov. He was trying to stay in front of him, and this is why his gap is what it is. And all of a sudden, Dadonov has got 2 steps on him. And then when he turns, I mean, for a guy that can, and he's a great skater, but he's a great skater going forwards more than backwards. But when he tries to pivot, it's like he's got cement boots on. He can't turn. He probably turns exactly what I used to look like. He turns, and there was no way he was going to catch him. And then at the end of the, down at the net part of it, he's on his backside, and there's nothing he can really do about it. But again, that I don't. It's hard for me to blame him on a lot of this, because that's the player he's been his whole career, and he's got 800 points or whatever he's got over his career for it. He's 100 minus 180 or 2, but the point is like he wanted to keep that puck in on the offensive blue line. That's just how EK65 is wired.
It was amazing, Leds, because I was laughing with Sam after the goal. We were watching the replay a couple of times, and he gives up the gap to Dadonov, and he doesn't really challenge Oscar Beck with the puck. He kind of perfectly stands between the two and accomplishes neither. And honestly, that's probably how I'd look trying to defend that play, let alone a guy that's won a Norris Trophy, which is crazy to think about.
Didn't he win a couple of them?
I think so.
Did he only win one? He's got a couple.
Let me look it up.
Well, and here's the problem for somebody even more important, and it probably came to fruition at the trade deadline, for Kyle Dubas, the general manager of Pittsburgh, when they were trying to move some contracts, and his name was out there, letting everybody know that Erik Karlsson is available, and there were no takers, and those are the reasons why. I mean, he's a he's a great skilled offensive guy. But I just think over his career, his pro career, he's been allowed to play that way. And sometimes they say, you know what, we'll take that poor play at that end of the rink versus, what he can do offensively. But to my knowledge, he's never been in a position to win a Stanley Cup as good as he is.
Luds, he's won 3 Norris trophies.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
2012 and 2015 with Ottawa.
We're in a different era, right? I mean, now it's about, if you get 80, 90 points, now, again, if I would compare him to Cale Makar, totally different, because Makar can skate backwards, and and actually fly backwards, but he will try to defend. He cares about playing at the other rink, although 80% of his defending for me is similar to Miro Heiskanen, is that the puck is on his stick. So it's easier to defend when you have the puck than chasing somebody down.
After all of that, 12-8 shots in favor of Pittsburgh after one period. They had a 10-7 edge in scoring chances by my count. It's 1-1 hockey game after one. The second and third periods, we're going to talk about that next here on the DLLS Stars postgame show.
The richest weekend in the rodeo returns for 1 weekend only at Globe Life Field. Don't miss it as world's top athletes compete against the brightest rising stars in the sport for over $3 million in prize money. World champions Haley Kinsel, Stetson Wright, Jackie Crawford, and Casey Field return to Globe Life Field with an American rodeo title on the line. Friday night features country music artist Bailey Zimmerman, and Saturday night it's headlined by Riley Green. Get your tickets now at AmericanRodeo.com. This isn't just another Texas rodeo, so grab your boots and hat, and we'll see you at Globe Life Field on April 11th and 12th. It's back-to-back nights of unmatched competition at the American Rodeo. Friday is the final qualifying round where dreams are made and broken. Then Saturday, it's the championship round where the best of the best go head-to-head for the ultimate title. 1 weekend, 2 unforgettable nights in Arlington.
Let's talk about Sleeper, the best fantasy league platform out there. Put your puck or ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. Now, in our pregame picks, our very talented producer, John, decided to go with Sam Steele for more than 0.5 goals.
I did do that, yep.
And that did not hit. But he did go with Sidney Crosby more than 0.5 points. And was he
put it all
right.
on the line. Did he get a point today?
I believe he had
Crosby
4.
had 1 or 2? Oh, he had
So
4.
you were – here's the weird thing. Crosby had 4 points in 12 career games in Dallas before today. He had 4 today. Well, unfortunately for John, you got to get them both right. But with Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS STARS to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Apply it to any contest. Doesn't have to be your first. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
So we had to go out on a limb, John. Go out on a limb. A guy that's had over 1 point per game for 20 years.
It was a good pick. The Sam Steele one didn't work out.
Usually the way that works is that when you actually put money on it, that's the game that he doesn't have a point. That's how that stuff always works. I've been there with Connor McDavid. What do you say?
Did you put money on it?
Not this one, but I have before. See, but then you start stringing together some L's and you're like, okay, I can't keep doing this. And then the ones that you don't actually put money on are the ones that hit. That's the way that this works.
All right, second period, third period. Stars were kind of getting caved in the second period, Luds. It was the weird thing was at the end of 2 periods of play, I had high danger chances at 5-5, and Dallas had the lead. But shots were 11-5 in the period. The shot attempts were obscene. It was 14-14 after the first. It was 51-25 after the second. It was all Penguins. Now, they didn't get a lot of interior stuff. They had a couple of chances. I actually thought that DeSmith made a really good save on Koivunen's one-timer, and he took a hit to the head and neck by Roope Hintz that would have been probably a suspension if it was the other team. That was a dangerous drive-by. Actually got checked out by Dave Zeiss, their head athletic trainer. Stayed in. They got a power play out of it. And Koivunen had another chance. DeSmith made a great save, stopped Crosby a couple times. Hey, Luds, did you happen to see, I don't know if you were able to see it on TV or not, but on that second period power play, Crosby takes a shot from the right circle. The puck goes off DeSmith, goes up in the air, and he tracks it as it's falling down, winds up, and baseball bats that thing. He misses the net, but he hit it as hard as a guy hitting fungo practice.
You know how many times he's done that? Just that same play. It's the guy
so
does
good.
not quit. For me, he's the epitome of what happened tonight with a few of the Stars guys at certain points where they quit on plays, especially defensively, not necessarily offensively. Crosby doesn't quit on a play. He doesn't. He follows his shots up. He always finds a way to get an extra whack at it. We've seen him back check from one end of the rink to the other. It's reason he'll go down as one of the greatest all time, mainly because of his effort. I mean, we've said this forever. Sid plays like a third liner. That's a superstar. I mean, and it's the reason he's a superstar, because he plays like a third liner that doesn't want to miss a shift because the coach is pissed off.
He puts all the work in of a bottom six guy with all the skill of a generational talent.
He's got the whole package.
Yeah. Well, how about that save that DeSmith made on Evgeny Malkin, backdoor? Now, Malkin, I think he misses this a little bit and puts it back into him, but still the athleticism of DeSmith to kind of spin around, get his paddle down, and make that save. And then the Stars go the other way, and they're able to score on that power play for Dadonov. To me, like Casey DeSmith, Luds, he's going to end up with 4 goals against of the 5 with the empty netter. I thought he was tremendous today.
Yeah, he had to make some saves that he shouldn't have had to make, but it's not because of special plays so much. It's just because of lack of effort with the hometown guys.
Well, not for Evgeny Dadonov, because he had goals on his first 2 scoring chances. This power play goal in the second period gave the Stars the lead. The power play was doing absolutely nothing. And then Matt Duchene with some more wizardry. This guy, you know, you talk about Crosby continuing to amaze with his skill level. Matt Duchene is in that category. Now, maybe not quite to the lofty levels that Crosby is, but he has that talent and his skill to be able to collect a fumbling puck along the boards in the corner and then just whip that backhand right across the crease through traffic for a dunk from Dadonov. I mean, he's so good, Luds.
Yeah, I mean, he knew what he was going to do before he got to the puck, which is a key for all young players. Don't wait until you get the puck to know what you're going to do. But Ryan, the defenseman Ryan Shea had a little bit to do with that. Talk about staring at a player, not knowing who's behind you. And the reason that Dadonov was all alone is because Lizotte let him skate right by him. I mean, this was teams trying to outdo each other and what not to do on the ice tonight. So that's why Dadonov was there. But the first thing I wrote down when I saw it was what a great pass by Duchene. But I think that's kind of redundant, because it seems like, 7 or 8 of passes that he makes that turn into goals are usually special passes.
Things took a turn in the third period, because despite the fact that Pittsburgh had more shots, more possession, they were working DeSmith more, Dallas had the lead. And it felt like this was just another one of those games of this winning streak where they're not going to look great. They're not going to win the analytics battle, but they're going to win the hockey game. And then Crosby does what Crosby does. He scores 20 seconds in. It's an absolute dunk at the top of the crease from Rutger McGroarty. It's a nice play after a turnover, and it's 2-2 just 20 seconds into the third period.
Yeah, wasn't that Ceci that kind of lost the puck along the wall? Was that Ceci that
behind
time?
The goal? Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one that was odd, and this tells you a little bit maybe about fatigue and where everybody's head is, was Essa. Essa starts going behind the net even before the puck has made a play on it. So it's the reason that Crosby was standing out there all alone. I mean, you've got your most reliable defenseman who would normally be, and be able to sniff out some danger. But again, I don't think he's expecting a puck to bobble and things like that. But sometimes you just got to make sure in that area of the ice.
It was disappointing to see that go in so quickly, Luds, but then 3 minutes later, Dadonov gets the hat trick. He scores on a really pretty play from Harley from the blue line, threading it to him at the crease. The coverage is not good by Pittsburgh, and Dadonov has the poise and composure to take his time and wait out Jari and score on the back end. So he has 3 goals. and you're back up 3-2. And even at that point, you're thinking the Stars are probably going to find a way to win this one.
Yeah, that was a little bit of kind of the cops, the traffic cops running into each other. The two Pittsburgh Penguin players just kind of mixed, and Dadonov just kind of sneaks in behind him, so he found some open space, makes a nice move.
More DeSmith heroics. Raquel had a shot, but I think it was between his legs at the crease. There's a couple of whacks at it. It's loose. It comes back out to the slot. Grzelcyk one-times it, and Ceci stretches out with the left shoulder. I thought that was a really good save. And then a little bit later, a guy I've never been a big fan of as far as his style of play, Kevin Hayes, is wide open after a Dumba turnover, and DeSmith robs Hayes of what easily could have been the tying goal. Unfortunately, Luds, the turnovers continued. Everybody highlighted Lyubushkin falling down, but if you go back and watch this again, it's actually Thomas Harley that turns the puck over, because even though Lyubushkin blows a tire, he still bumps it from the trapezoid around to the left corner, and it's Harley who, I don't know if he took his eye off it and was thinking about where he was going, just misses. And then all of a sudden it's Rust in front.
Well, to answer that question, Thomas Harley didn't do what he normally does, which is move the puck. He tries to make a move. He tries to go to his backhand, and then it fumbles away from him. But this is the one I was talking about. Prior to all of that is when they're coming back from the offensive zone, it's Marchment as he's heading to the bench, and then he kind of takes his foot off the gas, and he's trying to coast to the bench. Well, he drops his stick. Now he's about 10 feet from the bench. He decides to go back and get his stick, and then he can't pick it up. Well, that whole time, somebody can't jump on for him. And then the same time, when he does get his stick, Duchesne's coming to the bench, and he started coasting about the faceoff dot. Now, those two guys are just getting to the bench. They're trying to fight each other to get through the door, actually. But what happened is that whole discombobulation that happened with Harley there, what that started is now the two guys that are trying to come on for Duchesne and Marchment, they get on late, so they can't even get back and help. And from there, the damage was done.
So it's 3-3, and even then, after things were going on, felt like this one was going to go to overtime, and then they were going to continue their point streak and figure it out. DeSmith stops Rust on a one-timer in the slot. Sam Steele had a great chance on a cross-ice pass. And this one, look, we talk a lot about DeSmith being good today, Luds. Tristan Jarry came and threw his upper body across to make sure he denied that one on Steele. I thought that was one of Jarry's better saves in the game. And it's kind of going back and forth. Bork had a great look, but he missed the net. And then the collision. As the Stars are, again, feeling like they're in control of the play. And if nothing else, it's going to, under 2 minutes to go. We're looking at overtime here. And then Harley and Ceci collide right below the blue line. And that sets up a 2-on-1, and Blake Lizotte scores. I think DeSmith might want this one back, but I think it's also being a little harsh because it's a 2-on-1 and a one-timer. And that turns out to be your game-winning goal with under 2 minutes to go.
That was kind of the period on the end of the movie for the Dallas Stars today, or the exclamation mark maybe on the one. And you know what? And if I would say that from a coach's standpoint, if the games prior to this haven't gone the way, they've found a way to, get 6-7 wins out of them. But this may be the one where you come out and you talk about it, publicly so that they hear it. And they have to know, and we always say that players talk about it and stuff like that, but you don't like coaches or anybody else putting it out there in the public. And this might be one where you don't take this one and just kind of throw it in the garbage can and move along, even though it's your one loss in 7 or 8 games or whatever it may be. It's because it's been kind of building up to this point little by little.
We're going to hear about post-game reaction from Sam when he joins us a little bit later. I'm looking at a couple of things that they've put on Twitter already. Be interested to hear what Sam has to say about that. They pull the goalie for the extra attacker. They're trying to get one. They have a scramble going on, which is what they're looking for. And then, of course, Sid the Kid, who's no longer a kid, scores from basically a foot above his own crease. And, of course, he does. Hat trick for Crosby, 4-point game. He's the one that made the pass to Rust that tied the game at 3 on the Harley turnover where Lyubushkin fell down, because Crosby was all over it, Luds. We've said it a bunch of times already. He's a tremendous hockey player. And on a day like today, you can see all the reasons why he's one of the best in the world.
You know what I would say, and I would say the same thing about Ovechkin, because people have kind of, questioned how many of those empty net goals that he's had in the last, 40, 50 games, whatever. Guys like that, they deserve to get an easy goal every once in a while for all the other things that they do to score, regular goals and hard scoring goals.
Well, I think it's time for Super Chats. I think the chat is already wound up. We're going to have John let us know what's going on here next, because there's some feistiness here on our chat here on the DLLS Stars postgame show.
Just like your favorite team needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. And Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts dedicated to flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to those big box stores. You wander endlessly up and down the aisles, and somehow you're hauling all these materials home looking for an installer and coordinating everything yourself. These big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring may have been doing sinks yesterday and could be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. With Empire Today, you get a good, clear, upfront, and inclusive pricing, plus you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount with using promo code DLLS. That's right, $350 discount with the code DLLS.
Let's talk about Monarch Money. There are some big-time financial blind spots out there. Going out and getting takeout too often. Oh, yeah, it's no big deal. I'm just going to buy lunch. Maybe it's I have a bad day, so I'm going to go on Amazon or one of these other sites and start buying a bunch of online and retail stuff. Well, with Monarch Money, finances can be messy and confusing, but Monarch Money can act as your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning, and start growing. I think tracking spending is so important, so you know exactly where you stand. So you don't have to worry about some of those blind spots. Get control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code DLLS at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code DLLS. All right, it's Super Chat time. John, before we get into the chat itself, or the Super Chats, what the heck is going on? Because I just was skimming stuff here, and I see we're blocking. I'm not the one throwing buddies around. There's some Winnipeg Jets references. I know I know the Stars actually lost a game, but what's happening in the chat right now?
I believe there was a troll. That's what the buddy. That's what T Farmer and all of them are talking about. And the troll said "buddy" at one point, which, as you know, where I come from, that is one of the most insulting insults one can say to another human. So
can't do that in a New England town and just start throwing buddies around.
Yeah, you can't do that. I know this is Texas. I don't know where troll is from, but yeah, that appears to be the story of the chat so far.
Where did this Crosby come from?
Lud said Crosby earlier.
Oh, did he? Yeah, so they're just jumping. Luds, anytime one of us, if we misenunciate a word or just fumble, which we all do, they are on it in a heartbeat. It's like food for our listeners, viewers on YouTube. They just love it.
I may have accidentally challenged our dad to a fight as well.
5 a.m. I'm not making any excuses.
How did you end up, John? How did you challenge Ardell to a fight by accident?
Well, he called me buddy, so I think he thought he was poking fun, but I'm dead serious, Ardell.
All right.
Do you see that dude's arms at Cosm?
Ardell
could probably break my neck literally in his bicep.
He's pretty swole, my man.
But he called me buddy, so I got to stand up for my people.
I mean, you drew a line in the sand, so we know where you stand. Okay, Super Chats. Hit us up.
Bing bong.
Start with Mark Stone's Pap Smear with a Oscar Beck in the year after the Cup. There are some troubling signs of late from this team heading into the playoffs. I will refrain from full freak mode, but if this carries over to the Winnipeg game and they lose, go DEFCON 2. What do you think, Luds? There's been signs. for weeks, right?
I don't disagree. Again, it's different. I come from a different, era of coaches where, the hardest thing, and a couple of coaches always said this: the hardest thing is to get guys to fall in line when they're not winning hockey games or they're not playing the right way. And then when they start winning games, it slides and it slips and it slips. And so that's generally what the issue is. So,
by the way, Luds, Jordan is absolutely cackling at your reaction to the name of Mark Stone's pap smear.
I love it.
It was pretty funny. All right, let's go to the next one.
Bing bong.
T Farmer with a DeSmith 99 cup year. Welcome back, Sam. Stars are still good. Relax. See, that's sort of what I want to say is, okay, one game does not make a season. But I think what Luds is saying is very true, which is we've been watching these cracks develop where or the cameras drop.
I couldn't tell if you were moving it or
I told you it's sitting on top of two pillows and a washcloth.
I mean, that thing looked like it was going down for about 10 seconds. Late reaction time, but
it was a very slow timber, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it is. Look, this is a good team. They don't have their captain in the lineup. I know Jamie hasn't been amazing of late, but he's still their leader in the room, and they haven't had him for 2 straight games. So look, their goaltending has carried them, Luds. They've usually been able to outscore their problems, and the best part is it's not the end of the regular season. They have time to get things right before the playoffs start.
Don't make any excuses for him. It's still concerning. It's concerning.
You hear that? Les says the whole team sucks.
Especially Colin Blackwell.
He's just not smart.
Lud's your reaction.
He's just shaking his head.
Bing bong.
I already said it.
Burned Oils with a Lundqvist and DeSmith. It's shocking me, all the people that talk like we're not missing Segi, Miro, now Jamie. Way more than how we lost this one. Look, yes, Heiskanen is a huge thing, right? Sagan is a big deal. Jamie's a big deal. It's Miro's is the biggest part for me by a long shot. And we've talked about this at length.
Yeah, I agree with that. And mainly because, well, not mainly. I mean, he does a lot of things, right? He does almost everything, from the back end of the bench down there for these guys as a group. But like I said before, you may, if there's a couple of guys that are playing defense that you're not fond of and you don't care about, or to have them in the lineup or whatever it may be, when Miro's in the lineup, not if they're in there, he's taking minutes away from them. So maybe that kind of solves a little bit of that because he chews up so many minutes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's go to the next one.
Bing bong.
Ardell with a Bishel and Ben. The sky is falling.
The sky is falling.
Abandoned ship. The margins are thinner without Miro. They beat themselves. S happens. It will grow back. He's right.
See, the thing, I'm getting a sense that it's becoming a defense problem here. It's not. It's an accumulation of the whole group, because you watch the forwards up front and not working hard to come back and things like that, and kind of taking a shift or two off here. If you watch the game really, really close and you go back and you look at things, you're like, I don't know, that's a bit of a shortcut for me. That's a shortcut there. No, it didn't. It didn't hurt you. It didn't hurt you. But eventually, what is that rock that's gathering moss or whatever, and it's where they are right now. And again, we know the sky is not falling. They're a good team. They're going to be in the playoffs. All we're saying is, when you play like this and you lose 2 points to a team that you should have won, there's a big bonus if you can get above Winnipeg. I mean, it just makes things tougher if you have to go through a Colorado, then a Winnipeg possibly, then a Vegas, or something similar. If you could eliminate that by one team, one good team, it would be nice.
So I think the phrase, Luds, is a rolling rock or rolling stone gathers no moss. But let me ask you this. Is there a team in the NHL without some semblance of warts? I mean, there isn't a perfect team this year, is there?
No, there's not a perfect team, but it doesn't. We've been talking about. I mean, what was the last time we talked about? And shots for and against are not the end all be all, but they were in the hundreds, weren't they? Somewhere over the last 6-7 games where they were being outshot by more
Yes.
than, and they're all not quality scoring chances, but it's because there's little things that they're getting away with because they're able to just kind of rely on, we're going to go score 3-4 goals tonight, which they generally do. But things are different, at the end of the season.
And look, as good as Dadonov was today, and DeSmith was fantastic, I don't think the Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen line was particularly noticeable offensively. Duchesne looked good. I agree. I don't think Marchman looked particularly good today. When, Granlund was just Granlund, he tries hard. I don't think he stood out. He had a couple chances, but when a large majority of your top six doesn't look great in a game, that's a tough formula to win a hockey game, especially when you give up 5.
It'd be interesting. I know that coaches that I played for, and then we do the same thing too. Like, you kind of rate players after every game, 1 to 5 or whatever your system may be. And 3 is kind of in the middle of the road, 4 is a little bit. But I'm wondering if they do something similar to that, and if they look back over the last 10 games, and I think when coaches do that, they don't give them a pass for winning the team. They just kind of rate players, and then you kind of go through it enough, and you go, 2, 2.5. We got more 2s than we have 3s, and then we got more 3s than we have 4s, and it keeps on. Yeah. And then there's more people in those lower columns, and you kind of go, okay, well, we need to do something to snap it back into place, which they can do that.
Let's go to the next one.
Bing bang.
Jordan, talk hockey with me. A DeSmith 99. The sky isn't falling.
The sky is falling.
Go Stars and go Daddy. Now, I don't know. It feels weird. I don't like calling Dadonov Daddy. I know that's his nickname. I would say Dads, but I'm not part of that room. But I know, John, that the Swifties out there absolutely love that nickname.
They do. Very, very, very beloved song called But Daddy, I Love Him that gets a lot of play on the DLLS Stars Twitter account, whomever runs that. I think it's Luds putting those lyrics out. Today we rolled with the first line and got to finish the whole song. So if he had scored a 4th goal, then I don't know what would have been tweeted.
I can't imagine, but he was close. He actually had a chance there when Johnston was out there with him. And I thought Wyatt was going for to extend his goal streak to 7, which came to an end today after 6. But he set up Dadonov, and he almost scored his 4th. And that could have been, first of all, that would have been the game. I'm trying to remember when that was, but there was a couple of guys that actually looked good. So, all right, go to the next one.
Bing bang.
Ardell. Okay, I just want to make sure this wasn't the same one. With a Bischel and a Heiskanen. Owen, will you please explain the difference between a shot on goal and a quality scoring chance? Are the Stars being outchanced or just outshot? We need a Miro by round 2. So there's a lot in there. So first and foremost, Luds always teases me about the quality chances I write down. But just getting a shot on goal does not make a quality chance. And a scoring chance does not necessarily mean it hit the target. Now, Luds and I have an argument when it comes to that, because I think if you have a grade A chance and you miss the net, that's still a scoring chance, but it doesn't count as a shot on goal. So sometimes I write down my chances because it hit the post, hit the crossbar, just missed wide. What if you have a backdoor open net and the guy whiffs? So that's why, because Luds, and this is something I think is really important.
Don't get me into this.
No.
Don't get me involved in this.
With shots on goal, when you say shots on goal are not the end all, it does give an indication sometimes of who has more possession. But if you have perimeter shots with no traffic, that's really not dangerous, is it?
Right. No, I mean, and that's why the analytics and the charts that they show, and because you'll wonder, Carolina is probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league with shots on goal, right? But that's their philosophy, and it's not about just getting the puck there. It's because their philosophy is if the puck is going there, then the other 4 guys are going there. And when the other 4 guys go there, we spend more time in the offensive zone. We spend more time crashing the net. It's harder to play against when, there's 3-4 guys there. That's that mentality. So, yeah, the shots on goal and scoring chances are all relative to whoever. I mean, and I'm sure the best persons to probably ask are always the goaltenders, right? Yep. I mean, they could be taking a shot with nobody in front of them from the top of the circle, and they're not going to call it a quality scoring chance because they know that they should make that save probably.
He makes a great point, even though he didn't want to get involved. Thank you, Ardell. Oh, wait, no, the other part is we need a Miro by round 2. And actually, before even that, when he says, are the Stars being outchanced or just outshot? The problem is, Luds, for me, if it was just outshot, I'd say, okay, well, but Dallas is getting the higher quality because earlier in the season, you go way back, and it was always Dallas with more quality chances by my tracking, right? Even if the shots were close, they were getting better chances and more high danger, and they were outchancing their opponents. Lately, they're getting outchanced as well as outshot, and that is why it's a concern. Now, about the Miro part, can the Stars get through 2 rounds if they don't have Miro Heiskanen with how dangerous the Central and the West are?
I think I think their odds are obviously better with Miro in the lineup, but because of the goaltending, that when our goaltending is good, there's not many teams in the league. Unfortunately, you may have to face Connor Hellebuck again at some point. Now, if you're getting more quality scoring chances than I would say Colorado, I think that's in your favor then, because Blackwood and Wedgie, the lumber yard over there, there's not necessarily the top 5 or top 10 goaltenders in the league like Hellebuck, Shesterkin, whatever you want. And the other thing about that is if you're getting more quality scoring chances against Colorado than Colorado is, means you're spending more time at the other end of the rink. And Nathan McKinnon and Makar aren't at the other end hammering it on Otter.
All right, up next, more Super Chats. We'll say hi to Sam. We'll keep this rolling here on the DLLS Stars postgame show. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about being a diehard. Now, Luddy can show you where that QR code is. If you scan that on the screen, it's not the same on our screen it is Lud's. He's pointing at me. But if he points down, it may look different on his remote than ours. There it is. There it is. Perfect, Luds. Yeah, right there. That's awesome. Scan that. If you're listening on our audio version of the podcast, just go to alldls.com, click on Being a Diehard. Why am I talking about this? Well, there are a lot of features of being a diehard. One of them is you get a free t-shirt with your first year of your subscription, right? Well, I'm going to tell you, tomorrow we're debuting this on the show. I will be wearing it. Mine arrived. Luds, I think I saw that you got one in the mail the same time yesterday.
Owen, I hate to burst your bubble or disappoint. That wasn't mine.
Who sent that?
Where was I yesterday?
Were you at Farmer's Branch?
Yep.
Oh, that was Andrew, wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I was a little surprised because I wasn't taking you for going out and buying. You're waiting for Ben to give you a shirt.
There was a reason he wanted me to look at it. Matter of fact, he scared the hell out of me. He came walking in and he took it off. And he says, Luds, come here, look at this. And he laid it down on the table. When you look at it, the label back here is off center a little bit on his shirt versus the rest of the logo on the front. And we had 4 guys around looking at it and staring at it and like, okay, but it ain't that big a deal. It's just the label. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what it was about.
There you have it. Finished Mafia shirt. I'm going to wear it tomorrow. We also have the golf tournament, which is coming up April 25th. Sign up today. Come play golf with us. We'll have a fantastic time at Stevens Park. All right. It is Super Chat time to continue, and we're going to say hi to Sam. Look who it is. Luds, do you need a reintroduction?
Yeah, who is that guy?
Hi, Sam. Would you like to introduce yourself to Luds for a new time?
Yes, my name is our little buddy.
Gilligan.
So,
Luds, I'll point to him for you in case you don't know where he is.
In case
there.
Well, I think we should follow the protocols here that we see with NHL injuries. It's not how Sam feels today. It's how he responds tomorrow to being back at work today.
Yeah, I got some bad news. I may have injured myself again today, but we'll get into that tomorrow.
Oh no, injured
Don't
enough.
worry, I'll be there.
Oh, you're still going to be at work.
I'll be there.
Okay. Well, that's a big thing. We don't have to go to the bullpen then. Sam, before we get back into the Super Chats, Luds and I were talking, and he said he was. We both are very interested to hear about the post-game reaction from the coach and players for this one.
Yeah, it was. This was probably the hardest post game that I've had since covering this team. Just very, very clear disappointment from everybody. We talked to Dadonov first, who just basically dismissed any question about having a hat trick. Said he's not enjoying it right now because of how the game ended. Kind of shook off everything we had to say, even more so than he normally does. Then we talked to DeSmith, who was disappointed. He said he liked his game. Was disappointed he didn't get a piece of that last one, or he did get a piece of that last one, didn't get enough. Just letting points slip away in a game where you're playing a non-playoff team that is very beatable. I think I said this the other day when losing to Nashville after the Stamkos goal, and I said strength of schedule is only important if you win the winnable games, and this was very winnable. And they were clearly heavily outshot, turned the puck over a bunch, and then just the way it ended just left a sour taste in your mouth. So I tweeted out a bunch of stuff from Harley. He was beaten down, man. He shaking his head, looked close to tears, to be totally honest. And said just very disappointed that Ceci plays such an unbelievable game behind us. And he didn't even say we. He said, I give it away the way that I did. And he went on to say, I asked him what happened on the play. I just said, was there a miscommunication? He explained the whole thing. He said he was trying to outskate the F1, the first forechecker, and thought he could get around him instead of making a DDD pass. Kind of gave him a little bit of a bump, which pushed the puck in front of him, but the play was still very much in front of him. And if one or the other just communicates and calls the other one off between Harley and Ceci, that doesn't turn into anything, right? Harley either continues up the right side of the boards, or Ceci swoops in and takes it and they go up the ice. So he said that, that he blamed himself for it, said no communication there. And then he said he plays the 2-on-1 like a dip bleep. And he said his job was to take away the pass on a 2-on-1, and he let it get through. So he was very, very shaken up. I asked Pete about it afterwards. I asked him if it kind of gives trying to put a positive spin on it. Does it show you the growth and maturity of a young player taking that responsibility and taking that on himself? And he said, first of all, yes. Then he said, with what we do, you're going to make mistakes. We ask him to play on the power play heavy minutes, kill penalties, go out there in every situation, take the leadership part of the team that's missing with Miro on the back end. You're going to make mistakes when that happens. And Pete was very clear that they are going to wait till maybe they get on the plane a couple hours in and calm down a little bit. And then they're going to make sure that Harley's okay, because they don't want him to take it too far. Take the responsibility, take the accountability, but don't take it too far. And that was, I got to say, that was the first time I've seen Thomas Harley like that in his career. Even after losses, even after some sloppy losses, he's still kind of been himself and a little comical. He had none of that going today. Very disappointed, head down. But I expect it to be a learning opportunity for a young defenseman. And he said, and the other players said, thank God we got a game tomorrow against Minnesota. Let's wipe this one clean and go get 2 points in Minnesota tomorrow.
Luds, obviously they're chasing Winnipeg and they are trying to catch them for first in the division. But I wonder if the winning streak and the point streak is kind of weighing on them for losing, because Harley's feeling, I mean, they want to catch Winnipeg, but he's he feels personally responsible that the first loss in 2.5 weeks is on his shoulders.
See, my initial thought is that the reason that they feel like this is they feel like they slipped away from allowing themselves to catch Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Not necessarily about the 5 games that we're talking about that led up to this, right? Because again, they found ways to win those games, whether they should have or shouldn't have, regardless of that. Now it's about, well, we let that get away because of that. Well, you should just worry about your game 6-7 games ago and up to this point, because we just want to have you can't control some things. You can only control your things. You can't be looking to take over other teams and all this stuff. Get your game in order. And then if your game has proven when they were playing really well, whatever part of the season was, it doesn't matter who they play in the first or second round. And when your goaltenders are on and your players are playing the way they should play and play with confidence and don't take shifts off, and you're at the playoff time, you'll beat those teams. But don't just think the old cliche, it's not a light bulb. You're not going to get to game 80 and say, okay, let's turn the switch on. We're going to play 2 more games and we're going to be ready to go, because that's when hopefully Tyler Sagan's going to get in there, and Tyler Sagan needs to catch up to you guys. Tyler shouldn't come in the lineup and be the most responsible guy on the ice. The guys that are healthy and been playing should be the guys. And then Tyler's got to catch up to them.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the case, but maybe this was too much pressure for Dallas to have that. We always think, and Pete even said, having the carrot on the stick that you're chasing can motivate you. But ever since it became a reality, they can catch Winnipeg. I know they've won games, but we know this is not the Dallas team they can be. They've won those games in a very different way than they want to be playing game one of the playoffs. Maybe taking the pressure of trying to catch them and just settling in that we're going to play Colorado in the first round. Let's get our game together. Maybe that helps them here in the final stretch.
Well, Sam, let me say, if this is too much pressure for them now and they get into game 6 and they're down, by a game and they're playing Colorado and they're in their building, you think this is too much pressure for you now? Here you go.
That's the trouble.
I'm just going back and looking, guys, real quick. Do you guys, since the Four Nations break, do you have any game off the top of your head, and if you can't come up with it, it's okay, a game where you said, wow, the Stars completely dominated the play and took it to their opponent? It doesn't have to be a 60-minute effort, but when's the last game where you felt like Dallas won and deserved all the praise?
Philly, maybe.
Right?
It wasn't perfect, but that's the best I can think of. They only allowed 23, 24 shots in the game. That was their most controlled game against, one of the worst teams in the NHL.
And even then,
that's all.
They got out-chanced by the Flyers.
They won a hockey game. I just look at a game that they control the way that they can control a game. If a goalie beats them, that's one thing. They beat themselves, that's a different thing.
The last one that sort of stands out to me as far as chances go was against Anaheim. And even then, they had to go to overtime to win it, right? But they had shots galore. I think they finished with a 31-25 shot edge. But, most of these games are like, well, okay, you didn't play well here. Well, you didn't play well. Well, you didn't play very well, but you found a way to beat them. The Jets game was awful. The Canucks, they won, but the Canucks had more shot attempts. It's been a while. It's kind of the point.
That's the thing that I don't look at. I don't look what's in the stats. You should just know. You should feel it. I don't have to go back and look at how many scoring chances and how many outnumbered rushes we had and things like that. If you played a good game. And I don't know if you can say that in the last whatever we want to talk about without looking at you should just feel it. You come out of games and that, for the guys, sometimes it's like, hey, we didn't win the hockey game, but we keep playing like that, we're going to be fine. I don't know if you can say that over the last few games.
Yeah, I don't either. Maybe the Minnesota game a couple weeks ago, they beat them 3-0, where they didn't give up much, and Jake had the shutout.
I agree. That's a good one to point out, Owen. You know why? And maybe this is a great time for them to play that team again, because that team comes to play against Dallas like men, because they know they don't have all the bullets to compete with them and exchange chances. They're going to come in and they're going to play the only game that they know how to against that team. And maybe this is the kind of group that you need to play against and know that you're going to be in a battle tomorrow just to compete for space. Not so much about a scoring race. It's going to be, we have to win 50-50 puck battles. It kind of sounded close like I said that.
It was really close, and it got everybody's eyebrows up.
Right now,
stop saying. He did it. So there's another sound that we can't use anymore.
I'm just going back through, you guys, the whole month of March, right? The 2 games in Seattle, they won, but I don't know if they were great in either one. The Calgary game, they got outplayed, but kept scoring goals. They beat Edmonton. They were defensive in that. The Minnesota game we talked about, home against the Flyers, they got outplayed by the Lightning. They had to go to overtime for the Ducks. At Colorado, they surprisingly got a point somehow. They got embarrassed in Winnipeg. They won in Vancouver on a kind of sleepy day because they got outplayed and lost in Edmonton. Calgary at home was overtime. The Devils was close. They beat the Blues, but that wasn't great. The one for me, Luds, that I go, that was a heck of a game, and they really outclassed their opponent. February 28th, 6-2 win over the LA Kings. They played a damn good game in that one. But that's February 28th.
And you know what? You didn't talk about.
We got to do TV before any of you get going.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and joining us on our television platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the pod, and check out alldlls.com. Okay, continue that thought in here in overtime. Like, if I'm mentioning a game in February and we're in April, as far as the last time we think the Stars really cooked in a game, that's a long time ago.
The most important part, and then Sam, you take over, for me, is knowing that the LA Kings came out of that game and went, man, that's a good team. And it wasn't about we had more chances, they had more chances. It's like we had nothing. That's a good team right there.
Yep.
That's what's important for me, is when a visiting team or the other team is sitting there going, wow. I don't know how many times in the last few weeks teams come in here and go, because they're coming in here now at times going, we can beat that team. And you don't want to give anybody that slice of hope.
Yeah, I think Sean said it. I can't remember what show it was, but in a pregame, he said, "I want them to dictate," because sometimes we get lost in talking about what the other team does. I asked Pete today, is it hard to play against teams that are not playing for a playoff spot and are just playing for jobs next year? And Pittsburgh's not really in that case because they have good leadership, but the Anaheims and the Detroits, teams like that. That's the game where you need to go say, we're going to play this way, and you're going to have to try to keep up. And that is not what we've seen at all. And the reason I said this with the sample size is because at first it was like, all right, it's just been a few games, we'll figure it out. We're getting on a month and a half here of the Stars not playing Dallas Stars hockey, and that is concerning, especially when, as Luz just said, you want the other team to say that's a dang good hockey team. What did we see last year down the stretch before the playoffs, before they went on their run? What did they win? 8 games, 7 games in a row, and looked like the best team in the NHL, and they continued that right into the playoffs. We're running out of that little runway before they get to the playoffs. And Lutz has said it a million times. You don't play very, very underwhelming hockey to game 82 and switch it on in game 83. It's just not going to happen.
When did this start?
Trying to think if it was
Basically 4 nations.
Well, no, it was after, because that was the LA game was afterwards. So
I'll keep it simple for you.
Trade deadline time.
It's when the trade would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not me. This isn't Rantanen's fault. That's not that. It's like sometimes you stand around, you go, "Oh man, we got the shiny penny now." But you got.
And those first couple of games after acquiring Rantanen, we talked about how guys were kind of waiting for him to be the superhero and not playing their game. I think it's been better as far as we've seen good stuff from that line. We've seen other guys step up. Dadonov had a big night tonight. That was great. But to put it all together and not have your goalie have to stand on his head would be nice. And we haven't seen that for a while.
The guys that are in the locker room can't listen to the things that are being said outside the locker room when you bring in a player like that.
Yep.
Because outside the locker room, even me, are we getting a float for the old guys in the Stanley Cup parade? It's okay for us to talk about that, but those guys can't listen to that.
I agree, Lud. I think the way to take it for the Stars is like, and instead of saying, wow, look how good we're going to be, they should say, look, imagine how good we'd be playing our game with this guy added. Now go from where you are versus now we have this guy. We can play back 5 steps and he's going to take us 10 steps versus play our game. And then we go from a very good team to a basically unbeatable team. And that's what I think a lot of us expected. And we just haven't seen it yet.
You guys ready to do some more super chats and call it a day, since we have yet another Stars game tomorrow afternoon? But Luds, I'm surprised you haven't been throwing up all the hand signals to try to get all the, I don't even know if yours is turned on, to get the fireworks and the rain and the flashing lights. But as we go,
Luds knows how to do that.
Probably not. Let's
I
go
don't
to
think he has an Apple. I think that's only Apple.
I don't have that technology.
Mark Stone's pap smear with his second one of the day. This is a Lundqvist and a year after the cup. Let's keep it simple. Time to get your S together, because right now it's not. Hey,
that's perfect bulletin board material right there.
Yeah.
Hey, John, you picked a good time to wait for this one till after we got to overtime.
Well, yeah, before I had it ready to censor at like the 46-minute mark, but then I didn't have to anymore.
But we got going.
By the
All
way,
right.
T Farmer went to bat for me in the chat earlier, telling Mark Stone's pap smear that he needs to censor himself in here because it creates more work for me.
Yes. Let's not make John's work harder. Use the little asterisk or the % sign or the ampersand, even a $ sign or a hashtag. It's the and symbol, guys.
Ampersand.
It's the official name of
Bing
when you
bong.
write an and sign. Bailey with a Madonna 99 Cup year. They're a great team, evidenced by their ability to outscore their own efforts. Hockey is a game of momentum. Playoffs more so. Effort creates momentum and chances against hot teams in the playoff. It's about effort and will.
You know
And
what
feeling good
momentum
about
is?
yourself.
What is momentum? Momentum is a series of moments that you string together. You got to have a few moments to be able to string together. Not like
one
that.
and done. Yeah, that's a good
Yep.
point. You can't just trade them all the time. You know, the Stars had some during this game. There were some moments when, Sam, the building got quite loud and you could sense that things were building, and then they couldn't finish the string.
100%. They had the opportunity to make this a very fun afternoon in Dallas here, and they kind of just gave it away. But you're right. It was a little bit back, a little bit, kind of like we were talking about with Sagan earlier. One step forward, one step back, and that's just not going to do it.
Bing bong.
This is JEF 250 with a Heiskanen 99. There's no hustle on this team right now, no grit. Players just gliding around waiting for the puck to go their way and not going hard into the boards. Is it no effort or just not enough?
Here's what you don't have is you don't seem to have a player when it starts to get tilted one way that's going to grab it and say, we've had enough of this. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean it's got to be Jamie Benn. It can, and it can't just be 2 or 3 guys on the team. It has to be a group effort. And so when you put that fourth line out there, which Pete, I think he respects that line, right? He starts them in games. He gets them to get some momentum. Now it's up to the next line that goes out there, regardless if it's the Hintz line or it's the Duchesne line or it's Wyatt's line. They have to follow up the effort that fourth line or whoever that line is. They have to follow that up because they probably got more skill, but they just need to get the will into it first.
Bing bong.
Dylan, 14, with a Madonna 99 Cup year. 1, we have to assume Miro is not going to be available in the first round. 2, watched DeBoer's postgame and thought it was extremely soft, including the questions. Effort cannot be negotiable right now. Sam, do you want to defend yourself?
He needs
Sure.
some milk.
Well, were we supposed to call him out and say it was his fault? He said he was disappointed with the way the game went. We asked Harley directly about the play that ended the game. Not sure if what you guys want, but feel free to send them my way, and I will ask them.
All right, next
Take
one.
that, Dylan.
Bing bong.
Ryan Chambers with a Bischel and DeSmith. They've been outplayed in almost every game since the trade deadline. They've just been able to rely on their goaltending and being opportunistic. That's literally what Luds has been saying for 2.5 weeks.
Fact.
Bing bong.
Matthew with a Heiskanen 99 Cup year. There's a 100% AM effort issue on this team. I don't know what that means.
And effort. There is 100% an effort issue on this team.
Oh, and effort. Okay, I get it now. Thank you, John. You should watch this team play in person, and the level of coasting and puck watching is shocking. Luds, you were in the building the other night against Nashville. You think there's a lot of coasting and puck watching?
There's a perfect one. One more. No, the next one. Next one, John. First one you have. Yep, that's puck watching right there. That's exactly right, because you're just hoping somebody's going to give it to us so we can go that way, because we enjoy going that way. You have to enjoy playing in your end too. That's kind of where you feel good about yourselves, when you shut things down.
Stars play the Minnesota Wild tomorrow afternoon. There's a good chance that Jamie Benn is back in the lineup. What do you guys think? Luds, first you, getting Jamie back in, is that going to help this team?
Yeah, and Jamie's been around for a long time. He's had an opportunity, and to watch a couple games here. He sees the same thing, and sometimes it's maybe easier to take a little step, watch it from back here like he did. Not that was that he wanted to do, but I would say that you'll probably see the Jamie Benn come out, especially against the Minnesota team. It might be nice having him come back because there's that instant pushback from that team, and maybe that's what, because if there's a guy that's going to have to drag you into the fight, it's probably your captain.
Yeah,
Sam?
Matt Duchene called Jamie Benn the 10 out of 10 captain. This is where you earn that.
They get the Minnesota Wild on the road tomorrow. The Wild are coming off a really dismal performance on the road of their own. Now, slightly fresher team because they didn't play today, but they're going through their own problems right now as they try to hang on to that right now second wild card spot.
I think their goalie is paying the price.
Say that again, Luds?
I mean,
I said that I think their goaltender is paying the price of a year where he had to be the only hope that they had for a big chunk of the year. He had to be great every single day. And I think it's starting to wear on him, because I've seen a couple goals that would have never gone in him before. And they look like they're tired goals, just
they are
from
tired.
Yeah.
Best way to put it. They are fighting to stay in the playoffs, and they have been for quite a while now. I expect Dallas should win another winnable game. It's a playoff team, but it's a winnable game.
So Calgary is playing tonight at home, late tonight game against the Vegas Golden Knights. If Calgary has 2 games in hand on Minnesota, if they win both, they would be up to 88 points, which means they'd be only 1 point behind the Wild, who have played 77 games to Calgary 75. That's doable. Calgary still has a chance here. Technically, Vancouver does, although I'm not sure, and Utah still in it. But to me, if Minnesota is going to get caught, it's probably going to be by Calgary, and they have to be super desperate. But the Stars can't just stroll in there. I mean, hopefully the loss today kind of does something, right?
Well, what's the significance of Calgary? I mean, if Calgary gets in, what does it do?
For the Stars, it doesn't matter. I'm just talking about that scenario with what the Minnesota Wild have to do, because they're playing at home tomorrow when Dallas comes into town, and how you should expect Minnesota to be as desperate as they possibly can.
You're saying Minnesota's got something on the line.
Yes.
Yeah. That you would, whatever their best game is, they've got some serious motivation for it, right?
Agreed.
Put it out there. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. That's why I was wondering.
Yep.
I agree with that. And I think that's exactly how we want Dallas to think when they have an opportunity to jump Winnipeg.
Colorado
Every game has to be like that if you're going to try to catch Winnipeg.
And I think that's the aim still, because Colorado's losing. It's early in St. Louis. It's only 1-0. They're 6 points behind Dallas. Dallas has played 1 fewer games. So that means that, I mean, Luds, unless the Stars really go into the tank in the next week and a half, the worst they're going to be is second place in the division. So
I think
it's all about what's above them.
They've already, in my opinion, they already basically are saying, we're going to get our game in order. We know we're starting on the road, or we feel we're going to start. And when it is what it is, we're fine with it. We feel we can go anywhere and beat whoever we have to play.
Sam, you see that? You come back from your injured stint, and we just can't stop. But no Luds tomorrow. Sam will be back in studio, which is great because you guys haven't seen him in the studio for a little while. Sean will be here remote, and John will be here. So let's say thank you so much for joining us today. Great chats, great super chats, and we'll be here tomorrow, 1:30 with the pregame show, 2 o'clock at the Minnesota Wild. Have a good rest of your Saturday night here on DLLS.
Tomahawk City.
We all silly like the mayor.